Wait for it. There we go. Woo! There we go. Gotta cleanse my space before I start a video. For good luck to banish the evil spirits. Anyways, guys, Sebastian Castillo here. It is a rainy, cloudy Sunday afternoon here in Cancun, and I wanted to do a little story time with you guys. I want to tell you about an experience I had nearly 3 years ago now when I was back in Vancouver, Canada, running my pressure washing business that really was a little strange, but it benefited me because it gave me some runway to make this transition over to moving to Mexico. So, what happened? It was about October 2020. I was doing my pressure washing thing, and I did a small job for an older Chinese guy in Vancouver. He was all alone, living in a big house, didn't really know anyone, didn't speak any English, and so it was a good opportunity for us to kind of get to know each other and for me to practice my Chinese and everything. If you don't know, I speak fluent Mandarin. I spent nearly 5 years living in China. So I did a job for him one day, and then he invited me into the house to sit down and have some tea. I didn't think anything of it, but he sat me down and he asked me if I would do him a favor. And I said, yeah, sure, anything. And he told me a little bit about his personal life. Actually, he opened up a lot. He said he had brought his son over to Canada like 15 years ago, and they don't talk anymore. He said, my son has gotten involved with a woman who's about 10 years older than him, and she's a witch. She has turned my son against me and against our family. So I thought to myself, okay, well, what do you mean? He said, this woman doesn't work, and she doesn't want to have children with him. I feel like my son is wasting his time and that he could do so much better, and that she's holding him back. And unfortunately, on top of all this, I feel like this woman has poisoned my son's mind and convinced him that she wants better for him than we do. And so he told me that he wasn't really in contact with his son at all, even though he's still kind of financially supporting him a bit. He told me he had bought him a Tesla, and he still wasn't really, in contact. So he said, listen, I need you to do me a big favor here. I want you to get in touch with my son and convince him to leave this woman. So I thought to myself, okay, I've never been asked to do something like this, and I don't even know how I could even guarantee results like this. So he said, listen, I'll pay you low 4 figures. Okay, I'm not going to say exactly how much it was, but he said he would pay me a low 4 figures to get in touch with my son and get him to drive me to Vancouver Island, drive me to the ferry, take the ferry, go to Vancouver Island, pretend I have a business meeting, stay overnight at a hotel, and then come back the next day with the intention of talking to him and learning his perspective on things, but ultimately finding every little piece of evidence or every reason to convince him that this woman isn't acting in his best interests and that he should stop seeing her, that he should separate from her. And so I thought, okay, well, honestly, I'll do it. If what he says, if what this old man was telling me was true, I say old man, but he was in his 60s or something, then yeah, it sounds like he has a point and that his son should leave this woman. And so what I did was, this man gave me the phone number of his son. He said, give him a call, tell him that you want him to drive you to Vancouver Island because, he drives Uber and he offers private lifts to people here and there. And just tell him you got his number at a party or something like that, right? Because here's the thing. Due to the fact that this old man didn't speak English and that it's highly uncommon for anyone to suspect that a white guy would speak or understand Mandarin, logically, his son would never put two and two together and assume that I and his father were in touch with each other. So one day I gave him a call. I said, hey, I heard you drive people around. Yeah, can you take me to Vancouver Island on this day? How much would you charge? And that's what ended up happening. So at this time, I'd never seen what his son looked like, but when he showed up, it was kind of apparent to me what's going on. And so, oh my God, I just got a message from work. Anyways, sorry about that. This kind of threw me off. It's just these Slack messages popping up here and there. I saw his son, and the first thing that came to my mind was, all right, I kind of see what's going on here, because his son was definitely overweight, out of shape, kind of a cuck because he was wearing a mask, even inside the car. He told me that he's a gamer. He told me that he's never really gone out with other girls. He told me that he used to be kind of depressed and that he had had some times with his father where they weren't seeing eye to eye, some conflicting moments. And this was, again, just a series of things. He also told me that he didn't finish university or college, which is pretty uncommon for a Chinese guy. And really, he just gets by driving people around and doing Uber. And I thought to myself, okay, so I guess you could argue that this guy is kind of a loser. All right? I don't like to say that, but, you know, that's the one word that can kind of encompass everything that was going on. So I met up with him. We went to the ferry. We went to Vancouver Island and everything like that. This guy, he seemed nice enough. He was open with me. You know, we were having a lot of back and forth and talking to each other, getting to know each other. But ultimately, it seemed like he found a lot of calm and reassurance by speaking with this, getting in touch with this woman and getting in a relationship with her. So I thought to myself, well, on the one hand, yes, I can see how she's kind of become his anchor. But on the other hand, this anchor is just leeching his energy, right? And his money and his time. So I really did try to convince this guy to leave her, right? I tried to find every reason for why his life would be better if he got back in touch with his family and switched things up, and instead of continuing to be in a relationship with this woman. But he really wasn't having it, right? I didn't pressure him. I didn't try to be very aggressive, because of course you have to take into account this is the first time I ever met this guy, right? We haven't built up any sort of rapport or relationship. So at the end of the day, when I came back from Vancouver Island, yeah, I made a little bit of money, but I didn't succeed in getting this guy to leave this woman. And so I called the old man. I told him what happened. And he said, don't worry about it. Do this again, maybe in 2 weeks. Just call him when you're in downtown Vancouver, get him to drive you home or something like that. I'll pay for it, but I want you to cultivate a relationship here and really start getting him to see things from your perspective, right? And, you know, the old man even told me, you know, you have a lot of the traits and qualities that I wish my son would have, right? You're young, you're fit, you obviously are not settling, right? You are making an effort to go out there and try to meet women and just be a man, right? And I feel like my son is lacking this. I feel like my son is not living up to his potential and is kind of wasting his life. I really want you to transfer that ambition of yours into him. So I thought, okay, yeah, I can absolutely try, but I can't guarantee anything. So long story short, guys, I met up with this dude maybe once or twice more, but again, nothing really came of it. And in retrospect, I don't feel like I did anything wrong or ethically or morally incorrect. Because at the end of the day, I feel like the old man was telling the truth and he was right. You know, this guy, he's in his mid to late 30s, and like he's just driving Uber, He's in a relationship with a woman who's older, definitely not very good looking, either, objectively. And, he's not in good shape. He's going nowhere. He's not doing anything. And I can understand why a parent would be upset that their only son is in a situation like this. So that was something that happened to me. That was something I did. And I haven't kept in touch with them since then. It was just, a one-time, a very brief thing that lasted for a little while there. And then once I came to Mexico, that kind of fizzled out. And it is what it is. So that's it, guys. That's story time for today. If you just share your thoughts, talk about it in the comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know if maybe you have had a similar situation in the past where you received an unusual request. And so, I'd love to hear about it, right? That's it for today, and I'm looking forward to putting out more content for you guys soon. Take care.